And he stands directly behind me, grabs the back of my pants, and
having kids at my age is kind of like getting a DUI just as you pull into your driveway.
If you parented during the pandemic, shake your antidepressants. You guys know what you should.
Have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to Parents' Lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears.
I hear echo.
And yes, we'd like to fake our death and go off of the grids. But the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the Parents' Lounge is the cure to staying sane.
Hello, everybody. I didn't take the picture down. There we go.
Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another edition of the Parents' Lounge. It's so funny because the three of us were talking as we were like, I was just picking up my kids. I just walked into the house 30 seconds ago. Just enough time to make a drink. Yeah. Mulligan's got two kids who are like in the room at the 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And Jason is still hanging on by a thread.
Hi, Brandon.
Brandon starts his 2D animation. Brandon starts his 2D animation class tomorrow. I think. Good luck with that.
I'm excited to see what he does.
I know, me too.
Narcolepsy's here.
Oh, it is tomorrow. Great.
Can he do?
Daniel's here.
Can Brandon do a 2D cartoon of us, and then we'll voice it? I voiced Robot Chicken. I voice the Loud.
Oh my gosh, Brandon, what do you think?
Brandon,
And I voice all of my children's story times.
But I will only work for free.
Genevieve.
All I can promise you. I will work for free. Hey, first of all, let me take a second to wish one of my best friends a happy birthday, Jason. Happy birthday,
belated birthday.
Happy 27th.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
And let me wish one of my greatest arch nemesis a happy birthday tomorrow. Jamie, happy birthday tomorrow.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, and we don't know. I'm going to try to make it through midnight tonight, but we'll see. My daughters just asked me. They're taking an improv class on Tuesday afternoons from 4:30 to 6:30. So I have to pick them up at the theater, and then of course they're still like riffing and doing their exercise. And I'm like, hey, let's improvise an exit if we can. Let's
He's 57 tomorrow, right?
Happy 55th. You know what, Katie? I'll take it. I'll take.
No, he's not 50. He's not
Shut
55.
You. Hey,
You guys, if we hit a certain donation amount, I'm just kidding. I will reveal how close Jamie is to 60.
Let me ask you.
I just did for nothing.
What's the number? What is the number when you start to tell people it's just a number? At what age does that occur?
Can I say I don't think it should? There should never be that, because every day that we get here is a effing gift, as far as I'm concerned. We should be so grateful. And I say this as somebody who has lost friends young. I lost a friend at 16 years old. I lost a friend at 35 years old to brain cancer. Let's get old. That's what I have to say about it. But technically, when do people start saying that? I feel like at 40. I feel like people are like, it's just age, is just a number.
Is that when you did, Kate? You're like, yeah, it's just a number.
No, I gotta tell you, I am like so proud to be 40 years old. I had 2 friends get diagnosed with colon cancer at 41. Like, are you kidding me? What are we doing complaining about how old we are? It's crazy.
Never thought, I tore it up my 20s and 30s. I was an animal. And I never, honestly, I used to tell people I never thought I'd get past 40.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just was like, I've been too lucky. I've almost been hit. I've almost fallen off of things. I've almost died from alcohol. I've almost if you see the scars on my face, it's shocking that I made it this far.
Narcolepsy. I'm so sorry.
I
almost die like every other week.
Yeah, on my watch most of the time. Thank you so much.
Twice.
Not to get too maudlin and emotional about it, but I lost a roommate when I was 30 to a shooting, a total botched robbery. A 16-year-old girl shot him. I had to pack his stuff up, drive the car back to Kansas. We had to get rid of his porn. And I will tell you, that was when I moved to LA and was like, you know what? I'm going to go become an actor. Life is short. I'm going to do exactly what I still think of him a lot. John David Lenz is his name.
Oh.
And yeah. So, but listen, it's one of those things of like, yeah, I'm going to be 58 tomorrow. I'm going to be 58 years old. I can't even say the words. I have a 7-year-old out there who just told me, who goes, they go, hey, we want to wake you up at 5 a.m. tomorrow so we can give you your presents. I go, how about you add a present and that present is letting me sleep in?
Yeah.
How about that's a present. So
I feel like your bladder will not let you sleep in that way.
No, I mean, listen, my bladder's at 2, 3, 4, 15, and then.
Are you already there? Wait, time out.
No,
Are you?
No,
you're not. I was going to say you sleep soundly. You
And
go
I
to bed when you go to bed.
I will tell you, here's what's happened in my 50s. I drink a lot of water.
That's why your face looks like that of an angel.
No, it's coming apart.
Dude, ask my husband how he feels about it.
I also drink a lot of alcohol. So I'm hoping the two of them offset.
So you counteract it?
I do, yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know. Isn't it a preservative?
Alcohol?
Yeah. Honestly,
I think you're thinking of formaldehyde, and if you want, you should try drinking some formaldehyde and see how that works out.
And ruin this baby-like physique? No way.
That's still my favorite opening. Isn't that what you joke? You talk about looking like a baby or something.
Well, no, because my wife always says that the twins are absolutely mine. And I was like, no, they're not. And she's like, they look like you. And I tell her, all babies look like me.
That's right. That's right. Well, listen, I say a little toast to all of our lost friends because I've lost. Yeah, now I've lost a bunch, but
just straight vodka today.
Yeah, she's just doing the vodka. It is weird
guys.
because
I'm still sober. I don't drink alcohol out of its correct container. That counts.
I'm gonna pretend that I didn't mean to be vodka.
Right, this is true. Sometimes having a bit of extra pounds helps with facial lines. That's absolutely true.
It's so true.
It's so true.
Yeah, it is so true. My friend had the the sleeve surgery done. She when she lost all the weight, she's like, she's Israeli. She's like, I miss my fat because now I have wrinkles. I was like,
you see people who are super, super skinny. There's no fat. And it's funny because that's what my wife's company does. They do fillers, Restylane and stuff like that. And they will, and it's about, as you age, your face loses all of its fat in it. And that's where the aging comes from. We transparent people don't crack, Jamie.
Pale patch people.
I think it's somebody else who doesn't crack. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure, Stephanie, that you've maybe mixed up the sayings.
My wife's out of town. I have the kids. I picked them up from improv at 6:30, grabbed the McDonald's,
Sorry. There's a question on the floor.
Yes.
You're yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Question on the
The
floor.
older woman in the middle.
Oh, thank you so much. I did get called ma'am today at a grocery store. Real quick. Did you say your wife's out of town on your birthday?
No, it's not on my birthday. Yeah, she's not back till Thursday.
And she's doing karaoke.
That is absolutely true. She's at her national sales convention and they are doing karaoke as we speak. And I was like, hey, I'm starting a show. And she goes, hey, I know, but real quick, what are my top 5 karaoke songs?
Okay.
Is it
a business trip?
It's a business trip. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not as incensed.
It's one of those, if you've seen any movie about, big corporate companies where the retreat and everybody comes into one city and tears it up. That's what's happening.
You think she's going to bring you COVID again?
Yeah. Oh, not even a question.
Let's get it out of the way. We got a show to do
we got
in
it at
4 weeks.
Christmas, and it's just about time.
Yeah.
I boosted, so we'll see. But
I'm going to get that new booster soon. I'm excited.
I think listen. It's a cold. We're on to. I can't go down that path animore
I agree. If I get COVID before the show, I'm still showing up. Just so you guys know. Full disclosure.
Oh, you're in our town. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it matters anywhere anymore. It's like, okay.
For the record, it was not just a cold for me. But that being said, we can treat it like it's a cold because I'm not going to kill anybody unwillingly anymore.
No.
You'll only be doing intentional murder.
I have questions for everybody. It's September.
Yep.
We're back to school. We have we're actually missing swim practice tonight because I couldn't do the show and take the kids to swim practice. But I also was like, they just went to school, aftercare, improv class. I was like, they can't do too much. They have soccer. Their first swim meets all day Sunday, 2 soccer games on Saturday. Cheer tryouts are Thursday. Mathnasium, we're trying to educate them. Mathnasium's on Wednesday. They have soccer practice, and then drama starts Monday.
So what is you? So you dislike your children and don't want to spend any time with them? Is that it?
Well, this is a valid question that I would love to hear people's input in because it's like I'm a big fan of trying everything.
Yes.
And so honestly,
agreed.
I think this is Hannah's last soccer season. She's kind of
not at once, Kaylor. You don't have to try it all at once.
Well, here's the problem. If you don't try it now, it's over.
Yes.
Because somebody has already perfected that. Tiger Woods is already the greatest golfer on earth, and he's 7. And everybody else pales in comparison.
Oh, hello, Jobo, where have you been?
He's been here every week. It's you who hasn't been here.
All the way off.
No,
that is so deeply untrue.
No, Joe Bo's taking your spot. So here's what happened.
We
So
should all be so lucky.
by the time we got Hannah into soccer at the age of 7, so the kids, two or three of the kids on the team were like phenomenal. They'd been playing since they were 2 at like camps and whatever. And so, she didn't excel at it. And I think it really affected her. Like, why am I doing this? I don't care about this crap.
You think that there's kids starting improv at 2 and getting really good at it?
I didn't say improv. I said
I know,
soccer.
but I'm just saying, like, that's one you could have put off for a bit.
Oh, actually, they wanted to do the improv. A friend of mine teaches it, and I actually think improv's. I think it's like the number one skill.
I think it's a great skill building.
It's a great skill. I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to figure out how to free your life up, Kaylor.
You're not
It's not free. That's
optimistic
easy
Kate
for me. I
Mulligan
just
know
drop them off
today.
and pick them up. Say again, Jason.
I said she's not being the Kate Mulligan of optimism I know today.
Oh, I'm always
It's
negative.
my birthday. Can you be nice to me?
The real question, Kaylor, is what course are you hitting tomorrow? Well, the kids are at school.
Rustic Canyon. I actually shot really well. I made a couple bad decisions, which I think is, all of a sudden you're on a par 5. You're only 240 in. You're like, well, one of I was like 250 in. I decided 3 wood, which is a risk. It's a risk reward.
Okay.
And I hadn't touched it for the whole day, and so I thought it's time to break it out. And then I tripled that hole, but it was an accident. But I shot pretty well. But I made a couple bad. If I made better decisions and just took my punishment, I would shoot low 80s most of the time.
So what are you doing tomorrow, and why is it grabbing lunch with me?
I'll do some lunch. I would like to actually do some lunch. I'm thinking about a massage because honestly, I played golf.
Nope.
Today,
So I'm out. Nope. Can't do that.
Well, you offered lunch. I thought massage might just be easier. I'm so
Different. It's not what she offered, but I mean, she took it in a different route.
Not a massage with you, ding dong. I'm
No,
gonna
I know, I'm joking.
I think I'm gonna get a
That was
massage.
just
Then
presumptuous.
I'm gonna go have some lunch and sit quietly. I don't. You know what?
Okay.
I might go see Bullet Train. What if I go old school Jamie and I go, like pretend I don't have kids and I'm still living in Santa Monica in a rent controlled apartment, and I just stumble down. I catch a movie and then sit at a bar, talk to a hostess for a couple hours, and then
Old school Jamie means there's going to be like 3 different girls walking funny tomorrow. I don't think you can go old school Jamie.
And let's be real. At most, he grabs a Dunkin' Donuts coffee and has a Dave hot chicken by himself.
Honestly, can you imagine a Dunkin' Donuts coffee and Dave's hot chicken? That would be the cleanse you would do before a colonoscopy. That would just clean everything out.
That would clean it all out.
I call that a regular Wednesday.
I mean, Dave's hot chicken alone is like, I lose pounds. I just lose pounds. It's the best.
Oh,
and I have the kids tomorrow night. So, and my wife scheduled mathnasium for tomorrow at 5. She's out of town. She scheduled mathnasium for Wednesday, September 14th at 5 p.m. I was like,
what happens if you schedule something for the kids on her birthday and you're not around to help with it? What happens in that?
Jamie is a Virgo.
Yeah.
My wife's a Virgo too. We're both redheaded Virgos, which I got news for you. That's a dangerous combination.
Yeah.
You don't say.
You make Hannah. That's what you get with that as a Hannah.
Next week, so it's great because I see how much effort she puts into my birthday. And then I reciprocate in kind a week later. So
see, I do the opposite because Melissa almost always biffs it, and then I show her up.
Oh, good.
Actually, I might show her up. I typically do. Hey, listen, great catching up. We have a fantastic show tonight.
Do you have any idea how excited I am for him to be here?
We did. I know. And a lot of you, like you come from the paranormal world, and that world's insane. And I
discovered him because he did an episode a while back about the Amityville Horror, which, I have a very personal connection to because I used to travel with George Lutz, so I'm very excited to talk to him.
And aren't you the executor of this estate now or something?
I have all of his stuff, like his paranormal stuff.
Well, we'll talk to him about it. Hey, then you do the honors and do.
You do the intro. You're much better at that.
I'm not, but all right. Well, listen, he's the master. He's one of my oldest friends. We did stand up together. We did the Montreal Just for Laughs New Faces show. God, a few years ago. A couple of years ago. His podcast, Timesuck Podcast, is one of the biggest podcasts in the country. He has numerous podcasts. Let's bring him in and we'll talk about that and his kids. My buddy Dan Cummins is here.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, Dan.
Nice to meet you, Kate and Jason, and nice to see Jamie.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, buddy.
How's it
Thank
going?
you for coming on to do this, dude. I was listening to your, first of all, I was listening to the Bayou Killer, and then I was listening to the Catholic Church and stuff. Your podcast is off the charts. Timesuck. Jason does the paranormal one too. That he loves. You have like a whole franchise of podcasts at this time.
Yeah, I've pared down. I got a little crazy, a little manic during the pandemic, and it took on way too much. We were doing 3 here a week, plus bonus content for 2 a week. Plus I did one for Parcast a week, and that was insane. So now just pared down to my favorites, which is Timesuck and Scared to Death, bonus content, stand up, family, and I'm tapping out.
Yeah.
Scared to Death is
Honestly,
my
that
jam.
seems like enough because your numbers are off the charts, man. That's amazing. I was reading. I knew some of the details, but I didn't know in depth. I read your whole.
Okay. We have to talk about that bio.
.com, and you'll see his. Also, he's touring.
Oh, I don't even know what bio is up right now.
Your bio, can I tell you what the bio is? It is the most honest. No, first of all, it's like an actual piece of journalism. It is fact-based. It is a roller coaster I didn't want to be on, if we're being honest. There was too many drops.
Yeah.
It was it was, and also like I was like, no, not again. And then we're only in 2017. I'm like, son of a bitch, I know COVID's coming.
I know, and the pandemic's coming. So one word, honestly, dude, and here's what's great about it. I'm so sick of people like just showing the glorious side of their life and like, look at me and photoshopping everything. And that you're so real because I know how successful you are now, but you worked your ass off for it. and it just showed what you went through. And it was so inspirational, I think is the word. Like even Jason was like, wow, man, that was amazing. Just to see where we came from and where you thought your life was going to go. And as a comic and a performer, and you have children.
Yeah.
But you're having trouble visiting them, and you make a life change that is, I mean, monumental to then include them and then try this whole new path that people are like, are you sure this is going to work? Can you really consolidate it? Because I was going to read the whole thing, but it's
yeah, sure. I mean, well, think about when people glamorize it. I mean, it bothers me too, where it's like we live in that Instagram, and social media world where everybody shows the high points. There's so many studies that show how negative that is for everybody, where you're flipping through like the highlight reel of everyone else. And if you fail to constantly kind of remind yourself that it is a highlight reel and not reality, it can really make your own life just seem just terrible, like by comparison. And it's like, just not true. And I wanted to, hopefully, and we have gotten a lot of messages, just sharing my story on the podcast too, of people deciding to go back to school, people deciding to really get their life together after divorce, people deciding to like give their passion project another chance, because they've heard like, well, this person did it and it sure didn't look like it was going to happen for them. But yeah, so I met you, New Faces. That's when things were going really good. When I met you all those years ago, New Faces, that was like 2004 or 5. I honestly can't remember.
Everybody put your hands up. Here comes the first drop.
Yeah. And so, I had a quick rise, and I didn't even realize it. Starting in Spokane, Washington with stand-up, there wasn't a lot of other people doing it around here. And just in a couple of years, I was able to get management. I was able to get an agent. I was pretty young, mid-20s, and do this festival with Jamie, the New Faces, get a spot on Comedy Central and some late night stuff. And I just thought like, oh, okay, here we go. And then I got the Comedy Central half hour right after my first, like the year after my first Comedy Central thing, got the hour after that. And then behind the scenes, as I'm getting the hour, my wife left me, which was, not expected. And then, but I'm like, were
you blindsided?
Yes.
Is it because you were on the road so much, or?
No, it's a more in-depth thing, but it basically came down to when we were very young when we got married. And I knew what I wanted to do in a sense in college. I in the sense that I didn't want to live in Spokane. My path was like, I want to get to a bigger city like San Francisco, LA. I didn't know comedy yet, but I definitely wanted to go West Coast and was very adamant about that. And looking back, it's kind of crazy. I remember this moment. We were like 2 weeks into dating and it felt serious. Her thing was, we're going to have kids. Like, I want to have kids. She knew that right away. And my thing was, I don't want to live here. Like I'm from not too far away and I want to go explore. And then it was a 10-year relationship of the time was never right. I thought she was being practical of like, well, once we get some equity, once we do this, once we do that. But I think behind the scenes, she just didn't want to tell me. She no longer wanted to move. And so we got the 2 kids.
Yeah.
She had created these benchmarks and I'm a very like pragmatic, like, oh, okay, this is what I have to do. Okay. I'm going to try and focus on that. It was an income amount. It was an opportunity amount. I made those checklists with the hour special. I was doing a lot of colleges. And then there was like no kind of maneuvering out of this deal. And I was like, we have to go. Like, this is the time. This is all the thing. And then I think she just kind of freaked out and realized she did. And she's done very well, staying here. It's why we kind of came back. The company, she didn't want to leave. She's like a senior VP now.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I've worked it out in my head where I'm like, whatever, we were young and it's like,
you were young.
Yeah.
And you hadn't achieved your goal. You had goals that it's tough to achieve. I was just watching the Paul Newman documentary. Everyone's like, oh, what a wonderful love story between Joanne Woodward and Paul Newman. Right. Well, except for his wife and 3 kids in Long Island for the first 5 years of the relationship.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's you, Dan Cummins. That's exactly what you did.
But the problem is people get married so young. Roger Daltrey. Yes. I just watched some Who doc, and they were like, I don't know if anyone know this. Roger Daltrey was married at like 18, and they were like, the management was like, you can't tell anyone you're married, man, and you got to keep it in the back, and then wear those leather pants and tassels, and let's see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. It really isn't, and you don't know until you're kind of there, and so then it was for what it was amicable. Where as far as like keeping the kids, I would FaceTime the kids every day, and I was like, well, it was this thing where CAA was calling. down in LA. And I was like, if I don't go now, I don't think anything is going to happen. So I went down, would have the kids down 1 week a month. You know, they weren't in school yet. So I'm using all my money to fly them back and forth and just trying to do auditions, trying to do all the things. And it just doesn't happen. You know, CAA, when the special doesn't connect and get a bunch of ratings, they drop me. And then, you know, all the projects I pitched that were close, I thought around this hype, all go away. Some bookings go away. And so now it looks like I've made this terrible move, but I'm trying to like justify it. I'm trying to like learn something. And I just didn't want to raise my kids in Spokane. I wanted to raise them in a more cultural place. And so I'm like, well, at least they get to see this. And they did like coming to California. It is crazy, but I'm trying to make it work. And after a couple of years of this, Kyler, my son, wanted to come live with us. I was now dating my wife, Lindsay, and I got separated by my parents when I was a kid. They're divorced. Like I went to live with my dad for a little while. My sister, just one sibling, did not. And I've always regretted that we didn't have this portion of our childhood together. And so we just decided, and my wife was working in the costume department of a bunch of films and TV. Like her whole career is LA based, Lindsay.
By the way, Lindsay has a very surprising way of spelling her name.
She picked that. Her name. She was born Lindsey in third grade. She switched it
to Linze.
And her parents let her keep that.
I love it.
I love that.
Yeah, it was really, when I was reading the bio, I was like, Linz,
yes,
Linz, Hermione. Yeah, it was like,
that's what the phone always says. Colleen Linz, you know, or Lines.
Awesome.
Colleen Lines.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, it's so Lindsay. You know, I thought this was more impressive than what I did. Actually, I mean, she moved from Cleveland to LA. You know, working class parents, no one in the entertainment business. It was her dream to work in fashion. She's doing that. She walked away from all of that for somebody else's kids, you know, and like she just became so attached. She is such a great stepmom, like amazing. But then it was so scary so now, okay, Kyler says that we need to go back up to Coeur d'Alene, Spokane, but we also have to like make money. We're going to try and buy a house. We don't have the money to do that. Around this we're like freaking out. How are we going to afford to do this, to do what's right for the kids? So random. Playboy. I get this random audition for the Playboy Channel's morning show.
I remember that.
And I get it. The 2-year contract. And it was like the most ridiculous thing where working for Playboy, a network I didn't even know existed anymore, allowed us to get our family house. And I think that story is so funny, where it's like working on a topless morning show is what got our wholesome family house in Idaho.
Yeah.
And so I get this contract. We're able to save a lot of money. And after 1 year of doing that, Lindsay, we get the house. Lindsay and the kids are up here. So the kids are half of their moms nearby, half at the house here. I still have a year left of my contract. So for 1 year, I am doing Monday through Thursday in LA, and then either flying to Coeur d'Alene on the weekends or flying to gigs on the weekends every week for a year. You know, like that. It was insane, but we made it. We got through that. But then when that contract was up, bookings were not going well for me. Lindsay was trying to get into real estate. You lose money at first doing that, especially when you don't know people in the area.
You got to pay.
Oh, it was crazy. I remember like I was worried about a truck payment at one point, and I'm like, we did all this just to go bankrupt up here, and it's just going to be a nightmare. Like my career's over, her career's over. Right before I moved, though, I started Timesuck, a project that nobody wanted, like to the point that I got one pitch meeting, and the guy at the pitch meeting for a podcast network, the lowest stakes, where they're not even going to pay me, forgot I had a meeting. And just looked at his phone the whole time I pitched him a show he clearly didn't want. Maggie, my former manager, then she does like a Hail Mary, gets me this meeting, or gets me a deal with CBS Play It. I think it's no longer around, some podcast network. They give me feedback. We sign all this stupid stuff to start this podcast together. They're going to market it, blah, 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 until they listen to it, the first episode, and essentially tell me it sucks. They just tell me like, we can't market this.
They're like, take time out of the title. This just sucks. It's just suck.
It was too long. Nobody wants to listen to one guy, these topics, you know, like blah, blah, blah. So then I get really mad. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do exactly the way I would want to and pretend that like I'm getting paid for this thing. I read these like inspirational books and these marketing books. And I'm like, I'm just going to bet on myself and just see what happens. And luckily right after I moved up to Idaho, it just started to pick up and it started to kind of go viral. And then, 6 months later, we start getting ads. And then 6 months after that, we do a Patreon. And then that we risk everything on the Patreon. We agreed to spend money we did not have to build this app.
It's crazy.
It took this huge leap of faith. Very nervous. Luckily, the people signed up.
You guys,
then,
the COVID's still ahead of us. Okay, guys, just brace yourselves.
Yeah. So then the podcast is feeding the stand-up. And stand-up is going the best it's ever going. We're ramping up club dates, adding club dates, and then COVID hits. And then, and then advertisers freak out. They pull their ads. So we're like, we have a payroll now. We'd hired a couple people as I'm funding it from stand-up. And but then luckily, like the next month after that, our fans doubled down on subscriptions and merch sales started picking up. It's like, thank God we were working all these different angles. And then since then, knock on wood, it's been pretty smooth sailing. And actually during the pandemic, I was able to focus on one thing more, just podcasting. And that turned out to be the biggest blessing ever. So now we're doing fine. And what's nice is now it's like, I was always one of those people who wanted to work the system. Like I was jealous of the people getting the TV shows and all these things. Yeah. Towards the end, none of those shows, wanted me, had any interest. And now for me, at least, I have this thing where I control my own destiny in the sense that it's the fans and me. Yeah. It's the fans in our team. And it's like, there's no execs. We can't be canceled unless the fans cancel us. And so long road, 22-year road, but happy to be here now.
Well, first of all, here's where the road started. Shall we,
Is that Gary Goldman? Oh man, I remember that.
I uploaded it. I should have uploaded it instead of trying to do a.
Yeah, you definitely should have. But I'll tell you what. Wait, why are you and the guy in the middle look alike?
Dan's hair.
I know Gary Goldman and I both have long hair.
I mean, I look exactly the same.
You actually, this is the thing that like you're doing a bit.
Not true at all.
It actually is true. How dare you? I'm telling you, Kaylor, you're
a Highlander. I'm pretty sure.
We were with Gary Goldman, and I was a huge fan. I was like, let's take a picture with Goldman.
He gave me a Kurt Vonnegut book that so random, like a random gift from Gary Goldman.
He's a great comic.
I feel like, Dan, your story is a little, it's like, I feel like to follow your story, it's like, this vet goes off to Afghanistan and his leg gets shot off. Oh, but he gets the Award of Honor. But when he's coming to but then he gets into a horrible accident when he's driving to the award ceremony. Oh, and like, it felt like it was so many ups and downs. But at the end of it, I feel like, you're running your own race. There's nobody that took your path. There's nobody that ran your course. If you could have a different path right now, would you take it?
No, I mean, I'm so happy with where it ended up. And there is lessons in there too, that like a failure can be that whole cliche about like when a door closes, a window opens, something like that.
Yeah. When a door closes, ADT goes on. Sorry. What's I don't know.
They're talking about tornadoes, like the door, the window opens. It's I don't know.
Yeah. Something's
not
right.
The most humiliating failure where I felt like in a couple of years, I went from CAA sending me on like A-list auditions to a podcast company that was not going to pay me, firing me. But that podcast company firing me was literally the best thing that ever happened to my career. Cause I've thought about this. If I would have done what we did now through them, I would have made, after all the lawyer fees and contract fees, I would have made 17 cents on the dollar.
Yep.
And that wouldn't have been enough to sustain me to get to the point that I could pay my bills to kind of push it and hire people, and it would have collapsed. So like, for me, it's like all those failures forced me to do it alone, which is what made it work in the end.
Yeah. Here's what I love about your podcast. You're not just three idiots who like just click on at 7:00 on Tuesday night and just start talking. You don't do that. You don't do that.
Not realizing that when they're in a 4 frame, their bed's going to be showing in the background and the runways all over it.
Yeah.
All the stuff you guys saying seems so familiar for some reason. I can't place my finger on what it is.
You actually, that's what I mean, part of me hates you for it too, but you put so much work into it. Like they are deeply researched subjects and they're really fun and informative and they have it's just great production value. Like you sat down, I remember talking to you years ago and you're like, I'm doing this. You kind of talked to me when you first did this and you're like, do this thing. I'm putting all this research. You were like doing one of your early ones. You're like, I'm research. And it's like days of research. And in the back, I'm like, that sounds horrible.
Yeah. I will never forget, like, Dave Waite, very funny comic. When it started to take off, he called me, old buddy of mine, and he called me for advice. He's like, I think he said something about like my therapist, said I should talk to 5 people that I like who are doing well and get some ideas and be inspired. And he was excited at the start of the phone call. And when I told him the hours that it took to do everything, he was just like, ugh, no, thank you.
Well, I was telling Jason and Kate, I said, oh, Dan has a hard out tonight. He's pulling an all-nighter to get material ready for his Patreon fans, which, by the way, Ralph Garman, similar, like, it's so funny.
Oh, yeah, I love his story.
Kids nowadays want to be like YouTube influencers. And I was trying to tell my kids, I go, the YouTube influencers I know who are blowing up, 80-hour weeks, 100-hour weeks. Like, they are working their asses off. So, kudos, my brother. And here's what I also love about it. Not only did you work your ass off for it, but you kind of did it with your children in mind of like, I'm going to go here. I want to be with my kids. I want to be part of their life. And what can I do there where I can make a living? And then you did it, man. It's really, honestly, there's an inspirational book that should be coming anytime soon.
And I just wish I had the drive to make that happen for this show, but let's be honest, I don't.
Well, you're definitely steering the show solo because Jamie and I are not.
And that is the saddest part of all.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I barely made the 7 o'clock call time. I really was.
And he set the call time.
Yeah.
And I set the call time. That's true.
Also, I will say, Dan, over your shoulder, it definitely looks like your show is called Time. Uck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, buddy, yeah. I had that.
Looks like Time. Like,
Michael McDonald's a big fan, right? Because he's on. He at the top of the podcast. He's like, "I'm Michael McDonald."
That was staged. I mean, it's him, but the reaction of him was so funny. But I paid for a VIP meet and greet with Michael McDonald, and he was so over it. It was just like, he was nice, but I mean, he's been in the business a long time. I get long time. And, and I freaked out kind of when I met him, which I didn't expect. I've been joking about him, but I do actually really like so much of his stuff. And I became the weird fan that like I've seen. And I just and I think me freaking out like weirded him out because I'm not I'm not a 15-year-old. I'm 45 years old. Ah! And I'm like, can you just say that you listen to Timesuck? And he did it, and he was nice about it. But if you could see the look on his face, it was like a hostage situation. Like he was just saying it.
Like, if I say this, I will just walk away.
I actually
Cameo. Like people, do you do? I don't know if you do Cameo, but people pay like money to have someone go, "Hey, happy birthday!" I'm like,
right. I've paid for cameos. I have a buddy of mine, another comic, Doug Mellard, who will send each other cameos, and just. Gary Busey is a good one because I don't know if he's still doing it, but he would sing songs and he would just say anything. Okay. So we would write this weird stream of consciousness, absurd rants about like the squirrel attacking. You're the best guy I've ever known. And I can't believe you survived that, squirrel attack where 17 of them chewed off your leg and then your house burned down. And then your dad was sent through, a catapult and like just whatever nonsense. And he'll just sing it as if it's a real story.
Dude, I would love to see him read your bio because it sounds the same as that squirrel story.
So let me ask you this. Now that you've gone back, because here's the deal. We have a lot of people who are divorced. It's so funny because we do a joke of like, sometimes the greatest 2 words in life are joint custody. Where you're like, it would be nice to have honestly, it'd be pretty nice to have a weekend off. I'll take the divorce.
Or your birthday off even.
My birthday off. But how has it been? Because I know your kids are in high school.
Yeah,
right?
they're in high school. Yeah, Kyler is he's a senior now. Monroe's a freshman. Kyler's a senior, but he's a year young for a senior. And it's like
bragger.
No, he I'm more like to not age myself another year if I don't have to. But he's
by the way, it doesn't work that way. I have a 7-year-old. And so and everyone knows how old I am. So there's no math to it.
They're doing good. Like the joint thing. I mean, it has its, I guess, pros and cons. You make like your peace with it. I mean, the cons is,
What are the pros and cons? That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, what are the pros and cons?
The cons are just decision-making stuff. If you like, if you have full custody and you want your kid to go to this school, and then your kid, if they want to go to school, then they just go to that school. But, those kind of things, if you can't agree on those things when you're married, you're probably not going to agree on those things when you're divorced. And so then it becomes a pick your battle thing and putting the kids first. And I've learned more patience, I think, in divorce and more about compromise, but and about just like, you can't win them all, kind of letting go of things. But, like the school my kids go to is fine. It's not where I would have them go to school. I'm glad that they, grew up and have fun and friends where they've grown up. They did not grow up where I would have wanted them to grow up. So there's things like that.
Where did you want? Oh, you wanted them to grow up. Where?
I wanted to try, LA, and it's like, it's funny because I do like Idaho.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But yeah, once you move, I see what you're saying.
Sorry, are they in Spokane?
They're in Spokane.
But you're okay. So I'm going to ask a very ignorant question. Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are
from her.
Yep. There it is.
Coeur d'Alene is close.
Yep. Coeur d'Alene and Spokane are right by the Washington Idaho border.
Okay, so it's not like a 6-hour drive every time you guys have to
25,
switch.
30 minutes. So it's, we've had moments there too, because we have no family here, where driving them back and forth, not being able to use the bus, those kind of things is super annoying. But not annoying to, I actually do get along well with my ex-wife. And
What's
her
that
family. I feel lucky because I know a lot of times it is not like that at all. So
is she remarried?
Yes. She remarried right away. Yeah.
Did either of you have any more kids?
Nope.
Okay.
And I got, actually my wife wanted me to get a vasectomy. She didn't want to have her kids of her own. So no concern there on my end. And I'd be shocked if my ex would have another one at this point. So that kind of simplifies things a little bit too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're pretty close. We just didn't want to be right. We didn't want to like run into them at the grocery store. Nothing against them, but my wife wanted to have, her own space. And so it's nice to be in the town next to the other town.
Yeah.
How does she feel about you having like this monstrous, crazy podcast and stuff and Patreon? Is she excited for you? Is she happy for you? Or is it,
we don't,
does she even know what you do?
She knows. I think she's happy. It's interesting where, we got lucky that way too, where it's pretty balanced, where we're doing well on our side, but she is crushing it on her side. Like she is this, like, she's a 7-figure exec at this, company where she is doing very, very well. So it's like, I think it would be
7 figures that she gets to take home.
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Can I get her number?
Yeah, I was going to say, are you getting?
I date her now.
You should get a child support check every month. 7. Give me a second. When you said 7, I was like, well, yeah, 100,000. Wait, 7.
7? No,
Yeah,
7.
she's doing very, very well. Very, very well. Like to the point where the company has to print her salary. Like it's a utility, so they have to like let people know for stockholders or whatever like that. Like she's one of those execs where they have to publicly disclose how much she makes.
I literally thought you were about to say like they have to print money.
They have to print money to pay.
She has a money bin that she swims in like Scrooge McDuck.
Exactly. She's Scrooge McDuck. No, so but I do think we lucked out that way where just other friends who are divorced or knowing various family members and their divorces, sometimes it gets really contentious or just really uncomfortable, a lot of tension when one person is financially doing a lot better than the other person, and the jealousy and unevenness and all that stuff. So we lucked out that way.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I thought I had made my peace. We moved back up here. I'm like, you know what? And I'm glad I did, where it's like, I really did have this thing of like, and Lindsay and I joke about it now. It's like, we're enjoying this ride, but if it all fell apart, we know we can live on next to nothing too. It's like, there's so much more to life. And so, I had made my peace with me being that side of the equation.
It's so interesting, Dan, because it seems like you guys got divorced because you didn't want to live in Spokane, and here you are now living in Spokane, like basically in Spokane.
Yeah. Oh, I know. That is not lost on me.
Yeah, I was like, I just wanted to know if you wanted me to rub that in anymore. Sorry. No, I just like, but I mean, have you sort of made peace with that? Like, it seems like you're probably, sounds like Idaho is a groovy, beautiful place.
You know what? It is really pretty. And so I don't want to disparage the area. It's like, I do like it. There's a lot of beautiful things here. it's not where I would have picked for myself.
Yeah.
Just but I definitely am lucky to live in a beautiful place.
Yeah.
But we had to fight that for sure, and definitely some moments, with my wife Lindsay, where Spokane is similar to Cleveland, and she, and Spokane's right next to us, where she grew up, and she didn't want to be there. She moved to Southern California for a reason, and then there was definitely a lot of moments of like her, her understandably being mad that she's living in a place based on my ex-wife's desires, not on mine or hers. So we actually we're gonna split time as little bit as we can, like on weeks we don't have the kids, and touring down in New Orleans a little bit starting next year. And
the kids go to school soon. I mean, they're going off to college at some point, so it's like you could also live anywhere.
Yeah, well, exactly. And then once they go to college, I think what we're going to do is, if the studio is going well here, the way things are, where you can work remotely and manage people remotely and all those things, we won't be here year round. We'll have some other place to kind of balance out things we can't get here.
Are you going to go check out Mysteries in New Orleans?
You know what? I done like ghost tours and stuff down there, and like with the amount of content prep we've been doing, I've had fun invitations to do some cool stuff with some, paranormal, like, investigators. And I'm hoping I have more, when the kids are out of the house, especially like more time to actually do that kind of stuff. Because with the horror,
when you're headed to New Orleans, let me know. I will send you to the right places. You'll go on an Indiana Jones style thing. I
would love that. Yeah. I started off doing the Scared to Death horror podcast because I liked fictional horror, like horror movies, and had an interest in true horror. And I was very skeptical going in, like hardcore skeptical, basically don't believe that stuff's real. And after doing it for a few years and all the stories we've covered, I am not skeptical.
What turned you? What was the case that turned you?
The case that turned me was, and now I have to remember her name, but it was a nurse in Chicago. Oh, it was 1977 or 78. Teresita Basa. Man, took me my brain a second, but Teresita Basa, it's not a well-known case, but I found it fascinating where this was reported in like, what is it? The Boston, Jamie, the Boston newspaper Herald, the Boston
Globe or the Herald. Yeah, both.
Spotlight.
Oh yes, exactly. Spotlight. Chicago Tribune, like all these major papers ended up covering this back then, and it just never turned into like a movie. But the story is so insane where this single nurse from the Philippines moves to Chicago. She's at this hospital, lives alone. She was went to school for music back in the Philippines. So she works as a music tutor, in her apartment, this big high-rise apartment, randomly gets murdered. And no one, like, she was so well liked. No one has a clue who did this. The police have no clues. It was staged to set up like it was a sexual crime with her body and stuff. So they think that was the motivation. They don't even know if anything was stolen from the apartment or not. They have no leads. The case quickly goes cold. Months later, the detectives are working on get a call from another precinct nearby, like an hour away. And you should go talk to this guy. They go talk to this guy. He's a doctor. And his wife had met Teresita Basa. His wife, also Filipino. They met orientation, kind of remembered her. But then they don't even work together. So years go by between this meeting and the murder. This guy's wife pops out of bed one night, middle of the night, starts talking in a weird voice, claiming to be Teresita Basa. He doesn't even know who that is, the doctor. Gives him all the crime details of this crime. He doesn't know even that a crime has actually occurred. Just thinks it's like a weird dream. Makes nothing of it. And the voice told him to talk to the police. Doesn't talk to the police. Week goes by. Happens again. Wife pops out of bed. Other voice. Demands, mad this time. Why didn't you talk to the police? He's kind of playing along, thinking she's like, sleep talking or something. Well, you didn't give me enough information. I need like witnesses. I need phone numbers. His wife gives him all of this, explains in perfect detail what happened, who did it, and gives this crazy clue where jewelry was stolen from the apartment. Police don't even know about that yet. The jewelry was from the Philippines, where it's not something you would typically see around Chicago. It was like handcrafted stuff from the Philippines. 5 of Teresita's friends knew about this jewelry. They would recognize it. Gives them those 5 names. These detectives have no other lead, so they're like, why not? They go get this guy, bring him in for questioning. It starts to look like, wait, there might be something here. The spirit told the doctor that this guy's girlfriend would be wearing the jewelry. They go see his girlfriend is wearing the jewelry.
Okay.
And like all this crazy stuff. he finally, like, based on all the evidence that was presented, like, he breaks down and confesses to the crime, and then but then doesn't get found guilty because of a technicality, and then all of a sudden thinks he's going to walk away. All of a sudden he confesses again, and the belief there is, he says that the spirit of Teresita Basa showed up in his cell, and terrorized him into confessing. And the main investigators from this crime, they said, we are not paranormal people. We thought this was a nonsense thing to go even check out. When he told us it was about a ghost, we didn't even want to be there. But how else do you explain it? Like,
well, yeah. Also, this is wild too, because also doctors are not necessarily paranormal people. They are science-based people. So that a doctor's the one reporting this after his wife goes crazy. I mean, that is wild.
The doctor and nurse who had the nurse who had the dream, and the doctor husband, they didn't know this suspect. They didn't know this. Like it just doesn't make. There's no reason for her to have known crime details, and all of them details the cops didn't even know.
Wow.
Can I just say, this was the perfect little synopsis of your podcast.
Yeah.
Dude, you're such a great storyteller on stage telling your jokes, and I know you're doing all this research and work, but when I listen to your podcast, it's fantastic. And
his
story, I was like, wait,
everything
what?
About it.
Yeah,
you're nice.
Great storyteller, and I think that's the reason the podcast just blew up, because it's enthralling, man. And I hosted Haunted Live, and I was in the same vein as you. Where like they just hired me to host, and I was like, okay, whatever, Haunted Live. And I go on these crazy ghost hunts in like Civil War places, and people are telling me stories. I'm like, wait, what? Like I was the same.
Yeah.
And I go, it just never happened to me. But I can't say you're wrong. I just
Right.
I found you back in like, it's been 2 or 3 years now. You did an Amityville horror episode on Scared to Death, and I was mentored by George Lutz. I used to travel with him.
Oh wow!
And so anytime there's a podcast about it, I always gravitate to it, and so I love hearing those stories. And then once I found your podcast, I was hooked and tuned in pretty regularly.
Oh, thank you. The Amityville one was one that actually made me want to do Scared to Death, because we covered it on Timesuck, and Timesuck is so analytical. We covered a couple paranormal stories, and I felt like I was squeezing all the fun out of them, because it's like, if you take a conspiracy on Timesuck and approach it very analytically, you can have a lot of comedy and be like, this is preposterous.
Yeah.
And on the paranormal ones, I would get into the backgrounds of the people involved and be like, I don't know, this person has a history of conning people, or this person doesn't seem reputable. I'm looking for reasons not to believe them, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And Amityville, actually, that one freaked me out. Next to the Teresita Basa, that's number 2 with me, because that whole the Marlin gun that Butch DeFeo used to kill his family, I've watched.
It's a loud gun.
It's a loud gun. It's not a .22 rifle. It's a loud gun. I've never fired one myself. I am a gun owner and like to go target you. I don't have that, but I've watched numerous videos where you would hear that. You would for sure hear that. And the fact that the toxicology, like he kills each of his family members one after another in the same house, all of them in their bed showing no signs of a struggle.
Execution style. Toxicology reports show nothing in their systems. It just seemed no neighbors heard the shots, nothing. Well, and I don't. Have you ever been to the house?
No, I've not been to the house. I've actually never been to
those houses are ridiculously close to each other.
There's
no way. No way.
Yeah. So like when I hear those details, I'm like, I don't know.
Here's an interesting thing too. So I used to, help run the Amityville horror website that George Lutz owned.
Oh,
and
cool.
when he passed, he left us everything, including all the passwords to his email accounts.
Yeah.
In the emails, there are emails between George and Missy talking about the haunting. So those emails were never supposed to see the light of day. So within the family, and Christopher is a friend of mine. And so like I've heard stuff from his side that like that case just to me is the crown jewel of there's something there.
Yep, I think there's and actually one of the only other paranormal ones we did on Timesuck, just speaking of like weird things, we did one on the exorcism of in the demonic possession of Annalise Michelle, I guess either way. One of the, but there's this voice recording you can find online of the exorcism itself, just moments from it where she's moaning in this weird voice and it's very like disturbing sounding, and skeptics, can say they used voice modulation or, whatever. Well, I put that in the podcast. I can't tell you how many people messaged in and said that the podcast glitched when that voice recording started to play, or their lights went out, or they saw something, or like it's the only podcast I've done. I've done hundreds of them now as far as my research, and I spent hours and hours and hours working on the computer. Only during that one, all of a sudden the cursor started floating around on its own. It freaked me out. Yeah, like I wasn't touching the computer, and the cursor is just kind of like moving around. It's literally the only time I've ever had that happen on a computer. So they're just weird stuff like that.
Yeah, Jason got a call from George Lutz's answering machine years
I
after he
wondered
was
when you were going to make me tell the story.
Wait. From the answering machine?
Yeah.
Okay, so because Mulligan just wants to hear
creepy.
the story, which is where she's going with this. So shortly after, it was probably 2 months or so after he died. No, it was a while after.
Dan said,
He left me.
I'm here alone in the studio, and I'm like getting the chills and stuff already.
He left me all of his stuff, and he had asked me. His biggest thing was, so many people had discredited his story. He asked me when he passed if I would go out and help vindicate his story. So I would go to colleges and paranormal lectures and all kinds of stuff, telling his story. I have him a video of him telling what happened the last night in the house. It's the only recording that exists of that. And I did a lecture at a college. I came home. This was in the MySpace days. It was like 3:00 in the morning ish. Yeah. And I saw somebody in the corner of the room, and I looked up quick and they disappeared. 2 nights later,
my God,
I look again, and there's a little girl who has a mangled face standing in the center of the corner of the room. I pretend I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing this isn't happening. Then several nights later, she moves to the center of the room. And I'm like, I know that she is there. I can see her. And she ran straight towards the bed. I let out what I can only describe as the least manly scream.
Oh, I would squeal.
She disappeared when she got to the bed. I threw myself like up against the wall. She was gone. At that point, my cell phone starts ringing. I look down. It is my house phone calling my cell phone. I know my elderly grandmother is the only other person in the house, and she's been asleep for hours. I answered the phone, Dan.
Yeah.
And it was George Lutz's answering machine from his personal house that they had deleted previously.
That is a nightmare.
Also, by the way, Jason's totally big into ayahuasca, so probably none of this happened, but no.
Sounds good.
I actually love hallucinogens, but I
wasn't on any at the time.
Oh man, that's one of those things I would imagine so terrifying at the time, but maybe later when the sun's out and you had a couple days removed or weeks or months, I don't know. Also kind of cool of like such definitive proof for yourself of like that was something powerful, paranormal, oh man.
It sits with me.
Dude, recently I was maybe a week or two ago, it was like maybe 2:00 in the morning, and I don't know why, I just woke up and there was like this ghostly child next to me, like a 7-year-old looking at me. Mm-hmm. Scared the sweet Jesus out of me.
Yeah.
And then she climbed into bed and slept with us, and then I took her to school in the morning. But she was, it was terrifying, Dan.
A ghostly ginger, a ghostly cute ginger.
Dude, it was Children of the Corn all over again, and it was horrifying. And
your daughters are so cute. It is absurd.
Don't say that because they'll hear it and then they'll go, whatever.
No, then they'll be like, we're going to be famous influencers.
We're going to be famous YouTube influencers. I need to show them how hard you work. She's like, I'm just going to be a YouTube influencer. Actually, for career day at school, she said she went in and I said, well, other kids were like, oh, I'm an architect, I'm a lawyer or whatever. She's like, I'm a pop star. She went in as a pop star. So she dressed in like the craziest outfit she had, and she goes, I'm a pop star. And I go, all right, buddy, whatever. Save me a bedroom in your mansion in Beverly Hills, please.
Yeah.
Are they as confident as they seem on socials?
No. God, no. They're just like me, false bravado. Now it's all bullshit.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I wanted to believe they were.
It comes and goes. Although Hannah she has her first swim meet ever this Sunday, and she's terrified to dive into the water off the blocks. She's like, I can't dive.
Oh, that is scary. I mean, tell her that's definitely a good thing.
Dive in.
Yeah.
And she even said, I said, well, it's easy. Just dive in. I don't know. I didn't know I was such a bad parent.
They get all that pool time, it looks like. So it's like they're familiar with it. Like, it's not the blocks. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what are some of the stuff that you've dealt with your kids where, I mean, you have a freshman in high school. That's kind of a tenuous time.
Yeah, Monroe's, she's doing good. She was a little nervous for it, but, she had some of her friends from, her junior high going to the same high school. So that helped a lot. And her brother, being there before.
He's a senior. Yeah, he's like, I'll kick the shit out of anybody who tries to touch you.
Yeah, he actually is. They're funny that way. They argue like an old married, like the stereotype of an old married couple. And I mean, I do love that, like, they have just always, it's like when they're going between their moms and us, like they're always together. So they have just spent, they're the biggest constants by far in each other's lives. So they have like a really special.
I think it's great the boy's older because he's probably super, super protective of her.
Yeah, they're almost exactly 2 years apart by a couple days. And
honestly, I was literally about to be like, well, then he's a junior, and you already told us he's got it. I'm with you now.
Right there.
Senior Kate, pay attention.
Yeah, I was like, I got up my calculator, I was doing my math.
And yeah, they're good, like Monroe's also protective of him, and we'll get it is funny, we'll get annoyed by choices he makes. Right now, we always thought that Monroe would be the wilder one. When she was little, she was wilder, and Kyler was always such an easy little kid, and he's still a really good kid. But he went from, man, once they get that first romance, it was insane how much he changed.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden it was like dad, and like, whatever, listen to my parents. And then he met boobs and we ceased to exist. Like the power of the boobs controlled his life.
Her parents let her pick that name too, just like Lindsay.
Dude, they controlled me for many, many, many years. Yeah.
My parents got so lucky. I was not girl crazy in high school. I was I got girl crazy in college, but I was just a huge nerd in high school, and just like I liked like D&D, video games like that.
Yes.
I was very
Thankfully
happy.
for me, I've always just had my own. So
So I was unprepared.
I started alcohol senior year of high school.
Oh, you did?
Okay.
You guys didn't drink in high school?
Dude, I was such a late bloomer, and then I made up for this. Is what I was going to say to you about Monroe, Dan.
Yeah.
There's a chance that she's going to turn into 23-year-old me, and boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I don't know. Just order the plan B in advance.
Dan, I have a question.
Mine was college. I was a virgin, not even really by choice. Like other people's choices. They didn't.
That's right. Someone's choice.
Someone's choices. But like through high school, so I didn't. Yeah, but then I drank. I don't know, twice I think in high school, and then
that was Friday for me.
Right.
Yeah,
that was college for me. College is when I went wild and stuff. So
you went to Gonzaga.
Yeah, and I say went wild, but looking back, I mean, yes, we drank, but Gonzaga was pretty tame.
Yeah, it's pretty tame, dude. It feels pretty tame.
It is pretty tame. Like compared to like state schools, my friends talking about like we didn't have a Greek system and all that. So
fantastic.
Kreischer, Bert Kreischer was like Van Wilder, just drinking. I was in Boston and we were.
Oh man, yeah. No, ours was not like that.
You guys are going to be very surprised to learn that at Northwestern I didn't do much partying. Northwestern, a notorious party school.
That's a good school, though.
I'm so interested because your daughters are. I talked to friends whose daughters are in high school and stuff. And I'm in 2nd and 4th grade. Which is, I mean, I'm not sure I'm even going to see them in high school. That might be my wife's second husband problem.
You're so glib about that.
Stop it! I'm glib. It'll be a great clip if I do die. People go, he called
great clip.
Who called it?
The content.
So a friend of ours has hired a professional person to talk to the children about the birds and the bees.
No. Oh, LA's the worst, Kaylor. What is wrong with you?
Listen, I'm not involved. So somebody else, I don't know what's happening. I've never heard of this before. Can't believe I'm bringing this up so late in the show. But yeah, there's a scheduled party where things are going to be discussed. It's like health.
Like an intervention?
Yeah, honestly, very much so. Yes, I would say so. And so,
is there any way you can get an invite and live stream that?
Honestly, I want to sit in the back and go like, "What's happening?" Because I mean, I have 2 daughters, so I've always been like, "Listen, that's a you thing. That's not my problem." Because I have no concept of what's. I can tell her boys are bad. I mean, but aside from that, I don't really know what else to tell her. But they are yesterday. Oh my God, I totally forgot. Claire goes out of nowhere. Claire goes, she's 7, and she goes, "Hey, how come boys and girls have different butts?" I go, I can't. I don't.
You talking front butt? We talking back butt? What we talking here?
Meltdown, and I'm like, well, you know, boys and girls are different, and then eventually she won't let it go, and eventually I said something like, "Well, it's because women give birth or something," and all of a sudden she was like, "Wait, what?" And so, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not." And my wife's out of town. I'm like, "I can't. I'm not. This isn't happening. I'm not ready. I'm not here. I'm Irish Catholic. I can't, dude. I can't." And I was like, and I just changed the subject. Like, how about a cupcake? And she was like, "Yeah, cupcake sounds good." And I went and got her I got her cupcake from the kitchen.
Oh, man.
We're the worst. We're the worst because we're both crazy Irish Catholic repressed people who don't know how to discuss and go like, "You boys have that and you have that." And
my wife is so good at that. She's Catholic. She was raised Catholic too. She's no longer like religious, but she all through K through 12, all the stuff. Church every Sunday, only Catholic school.
Yeah.
And but she is very good at, like, she taught me a lot about like just having those. I was like, should we talk to them about this stuff that early? She's like, yeah, whenever they ask, you just be honest.
Yeah.
And they both have like very kind of, I feel like, healthy attitudes on it. I remember when your story that reminded me when Monroe was little, and I started to do this on stage, and Lindsay was like, you have to wait till she's older. Put this in a special because if her friends, like, you know, were more hearing about it, might not be good. Like I'm holding all this content for a couple years when they're not so easily embarrassed.
It's funny, dude. I'm not holding any of it. I've shared it all.
When they're little, I would do that. But then around the age of 11 or 12, I cut it off. And I was like, okay, once their friends found out about my stand-up and they were at a certain kind of more, like fragile age. But there was this thing, Monroe, when she must have been like 5 or something. And she, I've always said the most absurd things to my kids, just joking around with them, and they're used to it now. But I remember one day, I was trying to convince her that she was born a boy, and I was like, well, you know, I used to have 2 sons. And she was like, what? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you know, Kyler, and then you were my other son. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, yeah, when you were born, you had a penis. And she was like, what? She's like, well, and then she goes, well, what happened to it? And I told her, and I'm like, well, you were rough with it and you broke it off.
No.
And she's like, no, but kind of like worried. And then, so finally, like, I tell her that I'm joking. And now she's hung up on like, well, what is the difference between boys and girls? And what does it matter to have a penis? And so you did it to yourself. Yeah. So well, and then it gets even weirder where I sway it away from sex. And I'm like, well, boys can pee standing up. And she goes, well, I can be standing up too.
Yeah. By the way, this is exactly what I did. Boys once told me that, and I spent my entire 8-year whatever peeing standing up. Be like,
hey, still working on it, but it's messy.
Making her a sheenus, aren't you? Making her a sheenus?
No, I already printed it. I'm going to give it to her when she comes to see her.
I wonder if Kate did this then, because I tell Monroe that yes, she could pee standing up, but it's just going to run down her leg, and she's like, no. So finally, I distract her, and we move on. Cut to that night. I've forgotten about it. She goes in, she has her bath. She comes out with her like towel on or whatever, and she just has this big grin on her face, and she goes, I did it. And I'm like, what? And she goes, I peed standing up. And I'm like, well, did you clean up the mess? And she goes, no, I got it on the toilet. And I'm like, how'd you do that? And she goes, easy. She goes, you just smush it together and push it out. Like she basically like made herself. She made herself a penis out of her parts.
Out of the labes. She made herself a labey peen.
Yes. And I was like, that is kind of brilliant. So
I only have one speed when peeing, which is rocket. So I never had a problem. It only ever, I mean, I remember in college being on like a trip, and we were all we were all in a hostel, and my friends, like my guy friends, heard me peeing, and they're like, bro, you okay? They're like, what? You pee so fast.
My wife, sometimes she doesn't even wake me up getting out of the bed. I don't wake up until I hear shh.
Yes, that's me.
Wow.
It sounds like somebody's power washing the house.
Yes.
I'm like, what is happening in there?
I am jealous because it's so inconsistent. Sometimes it's like, yep, that was shooting right out there.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'm like, I know I have to go. And then it's like this slow burn. And I'm like, what am I, 90? Like, what is going on?
Well, come talk to me at my age when you're like, I feel like I have to go. And then eventually the V trickle comes out where it goes and it's like in two different directions. Like, all of a sudden you have to kind of grunt to go, yeah, just to merge it to one stream. You're double streaming it and you're splashing everywhere and you're like, yeah, and then it goes one stream.
And my wife is like, sometimes she's like, why can't you just get it in the toilet? I'm like, you try to deal with this mangled hose, like this horrible, like, I don't know why it doesn't go straight either, but it's like, sometimes it just wants to go to the side.
Why are you standing up in your own house? I sit down in my house.
That's what my husband
you know
does.
what?
Yeah,
I do that more now.
Honestly, nowadays, I mean, unless it's like an airplane, I sit down pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
I waste so much time though.
Because I'm away from my kids. I'm like, I have to pee, but this is also a great excuse to like spend 15 minutes away from my kids.
I try lately. I've actually been trying not to as much because I waste like 15 minutes. I've had this weird obsession for basically my whole adult life with it was baseball cards as a kid, and then now it's ESPN, and I just like, it's so weird. I like to check stats, so I like to check like who's leading the league in batting average, but like every day, and so I will. I'm like, I just wasted 15 minutes going over the same stats I went over this morning, and I don't care about any of these players. I don't even watch the games. So
I was reading something about like the average person who works spends like 2 hours and 22 minutes on emails a day. Like, these are things that our parents didn't have to deal with. There's no quiet time, dude. There's no quiet time. I mean, it just feels like it's all getting exponentially crazier and crazier until we just spin off the earth into a different universe. Because it's like every day is like the list is longer and longer of shit I gotta do.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I know you do have to say, I mean, as we're doing a thing that's for people to look, access on a computer, but like, I think for every person, you have to give yourself parameters. It's like my agent is like, he'll bring up, and it'll be a good idea, but he'll be like, oh, there's this new social, media company launching. You could get on the ground floor and do this. And I'm just like, no, it's going fine. Yeah. I don't need to try to burn. I'm like, I'm going to do these 5 things. And if that's not enough, I'm going to quit.
Like Fireside or Fallon or Chat Squad or Talk to Me or Hello Friend. You're like, I got it, man. I got it.
Yeah. And the consumer too. You have to be careful where it's like, give yourself an amount of content you're going to absorb every day and then stop and then go outside.
Up Dan's dates one more time. I got to get him out of here because he's got apparently. And you know what? And I when I talked to Ralph Garman, who has an amazing Patreon account too, it shows because you guys, these people are part of your community because of the work you put into it. So it's kudos. Honestly, dude, I remember doing stand-up with you. Your stand-up's so strong. It's so great. And now with the tour stuff, it's so cool. So we'll put that up when we post.
Actually, Dan, why don't we just for the audio listeners, can we say the places you're going out loud so they can come check out the website? Yeah,
I'm excited. Like if you go to dancummins.tv, I got clubs the rest of this year where be Boston, Michigan, Grand Rapids, Austin, Texas, Louisville, Portland, Oregon, and then Minneapolis. And then we're doing a 2023 theater tour now for the first 4 months. And it's going to be, it's so fun. Some of the cities just sold out, which is very exciting. Like Seattle, St. Louis, Kansas City, Denver, Philly. But we're doing a bunch of, and that's what I wanted to do back in the Montreal just for laughs, New Faces days. Yeah. It's like there was a goal. It was how do you get to like a theater tour kind of spot, and I feel very lucky. From Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, we somehow are going to get.
Well, it doesn't matter where you built this fan base based off of your talent, your comedy and stuff. So it's really, dude, it's amazing to see. I mean, we kind of came up together, and I love it. It just makes me so happy to see.
Oh, thanks, man. And I love watching what you're doing. It's like, I realized down there that I'm not a good actor, but I admire it. And man, you just like the other day when I just asked you, like, hey, like we had the date mixed up, and you were like, yeah, I got a call time. And I was like, oh, what are you doing? And you're doing that. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. It's the Reno Night. Oh, no, it's the
Tacoma FD.
Only fans.
Yeah. It reminds me of like the fire department version of like a Reno 911.
Yeah.
And it's like
it's all Tacoma. It's all Washington, guys. It's Tacoma. Yeah, that's how they feel that. But
that's the stuff that I dream. I mean, and I'm not saying this is like, oh, I wish I had, but it's like I did dream. Like SNL was what I watched as a kid, and I dreamed of doing those kind of ensemble things. And it wasn't my path, but I love seeing friends like be able to do that kind of stuff. And your IMDb is insane.
Yeah.
That's very kind of you. And it's funny because I dreamed about doing some theater tours. So we're working towards that as well. But it's really cool because we had just an amazing JFL class that year.
We did. Joe Coy,
Felipe Esparza, Jay Larson, Natasha Leggero. I mean, it was W. Kamau Bell was with us that year.
Oh my God. His Cosby documentary is gutting.
Of course, I was 40 years old when I was in the New Faces, just so we're all
you look funny. You look funny.
Years old when I did New Faces, but
you still had your guitar in your room. You were still young.
I
remember going to your room and you were playing guitar.
I was so nervous. I wish I could go back and tell myself, it's so funny because I was talking to my kids tonight in improv class or whatever, and I was like, you just can't tell people to go like, let it go. Nothing, none of it matters, man. None of this matters. It's all so minimal in the whole picture of everything. And you'll find your path. And, it's really cool what you've done.
Oh, thanks. Well, thanks for having me on. And it was so nice to meet you, Kate, and you, Jason.
It's so nice to meet you, Dan.
Yeah, you too, man.
And you got to get out to Chicago because after you do your show, you can investigate the Taika Waititi death or whatever her name was.
Director of Thor.
Have him come do the theater in Sayre. Probably got a huge suck in Pennsylvania. They're in Pennsylvania where they are right now in a growth that we're doing in October. I have a ton of friends in Boston. We'll be sure to blast that when you do Laugh Boston. I love that club. That's where I recorded my first album. Super, super. And please come back. We'll hit you up.
Come back anytime.
Everybody check out Timesuck and dancummins.tv.
Yep, perfect.
All right. And check out his tour dates, and we'll blast them out when you come. Brother, we love you. Thank you for playing.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a good night. Okay, now we can't see my bed anymore.
Well,
what are we
you okay?
Oh my God, you guys, you got to remind me when it's going to be the 4 shot that I got to clean up my bed.
You knew, like literally the emails went out 2 days ago.
No, I knew he was going to be on, but I don't do the math in advance.
Oh, now I got to do math for you too.
Yes.
Just add one more friggin' thing to my plate.
He was like, this is a real ragtag bunch. This lady's got Rent the Runway all over.
Speaker. I mean, he's such a strong speaker.
Oh, I know.
When his first act, when I used to see him back in the day, can someone throw a fourth window? Yeah. I like Milligan. I like this way it is.
Oh, actually, I can. In
fact,
don't. Put it back.
No, no one likes this. Give me in the Kate sandwich again. Thank you.
Yeah, all right, Mark, what do you got?
It feels weird.
I got a few more minutes because honestly, my wife's out of town. I've got to go. You know what I told him? Here's what I told him. I said, listen, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go do the show. By 8, you can watch TV. I even bought them little Victor Benets. I got them like cupcakes and McDonald's. Nice. I mean, they're like back there, like probably in a meltdown. And I said, here's what's going to happen. You can watch TV starting at 7, eat your dinner. I'm going to come out at 8:30. And if you're not in your bed with your teeth brushed, in your jammies, reading a book or asleep, you're in serious trouble.
I'm going to murder you in your sleep. Sorry, wait. What? I'm sorry. What was it that you said?
Go full
No, I said I'm going to murder you in your sleep. Is that
okay? Yeah. That's sorry. We said the same thing.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Murder you in your sleep.
Murder you in the sleep. Yep. Okay. Great. That's what I thought.
It's a family-friendly show, and that's the topic we love to just embrace.
I just feel like, listen, no. If you were being really mean, you would say, I'm going to wake you up, let you think about it, then I'm going to murder you.
And then I'm going to murder you in your sleep.
Yeah, murder you in your sleep is like, honestly, I would be like, thank you. That's what I would say.
You're saying I'm unconscious and I will stay unconscious? Yeah. We're good. We're good here.
Which is funny because I've told my wife that many times on numerous nights when I thought she was going to kill me in my sleep. I would say to her, I would go, just don't wake me up first. Just
do it. Just
do it.
Joey Steelers asked if I'm a Steelers or Eagles fan. I actually just watch hockey.
I was gonna say Jason is an Iron Man fan.
I was gonna say
I do watch hockey though.
I think
the lady doth protest.
You're Marvel, and it's Marvel, so the answer.
Yeah. He's Team Marvel.
I just like a sport where people hit each other with sticks.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a show coming up October 14th and 15th. Oh, I like that shot better.
Mulligan, did you write your act yet?
Yeah, dude, I've been on it. Well, first of all, I don't have to write much because it's already written. Secondly, I got some new stuff.
She lived it.
I'm doing a show this Friday. I'm doing Flappers.
You know what?
I saw that. Tell us about it.
So,
yeah.
I was gonna come. I have parents' night. I have fourth grade parents' night out, and I have to bring. It's a potluck at the school, and I have to bring some potluck. And then I want. Are you in the 10 o'clock show?
I'm in the 10 o'clock show. Yeah.
How are you gonna stay up that late?
Honest to God, unclear. I may, in fact, be in a rapid eye movement when I'm doing my
cocaine. Yeah,
cocaine.
I was worried about you guys here, but I forgot that the 3-hour time difference works in the two of yours favor.
In our benefit. Yeah, to our benefit.
Luckily, I couldn't. I honestly did. It's 11:20.
I tried to do the math with Kaylor last year because he partied till 4, and I was like, how did he do that?
It was only one.
Oh no! I have this special gift that if I don't drink at all, I'm asleep by 8:30. But if I have a couple drinks, I go Irish, and I'm up till I can stay up all night.
And then he leaves at some point, and no one knows where.
That's why I never did. I was never a cocaine guy because alcohol was basically cocaine for me.
Oh,
wow!
Is that not right? Am I the crazy?
That's not alcohol. That is genuinely people snort a line to get off the alcohol, like to undo the alcohol sleeping effects.
No, that's not how.
As somebody who's done that very thing, that's exactly how you use cocaine. It's when you feel a little too drunk. You're a little too sleepy.
No, I would like to sleep. One time I was bartending and Red Bull had just come out. That's how old I am. And this new thing, Red Bull, came out. I was like, oh, Red Bull. And I had a Red Bull at like 8 o'clock. And then I was doing laundry at 4:30 in the morning. I was like, trying to breathe. And then
I had a drink with a honey stick in it at Disneyland and nearly had a heart attack.
That's not even a joke. That's absolutely dead true.
But also,
that's really
lying.
a thing.
That's a lie. He had 2 honey sticks because he complained that the first was broken. And he was like, can I have another? And they were like,
well, let's face it. Walt would have wanted me to have a second.
Kid story this week.
What?
A kid story?
I haven't heard any kid stories from you.
We just heard that Claire wants to know what's going on with boys and girls' butts.
No, those are my stories. I haven't heard any kid stories from you.
I can give you
my little ass hats were actually pretty good and I have totally screwed up my next week because I said that. But
wow, why would you say that out loud?
They were actually a delight this week.
Yeah, we're 4 weeks into school for my kids, and James has only been to 1 complete week of school of the 4.
Is that right? Why?
Yeah, because he gets sick every single week except for 1. So right now we are on 2 for 2 of this week. We had I think I told you guys last time we had a problem with James telling us a lie about a kid, and we got the video footage of it.
I told my wife that story.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And I said the whole slogan of roll the tape.
Roll the tape.
That made me laugh so hard. There's definitely a bit in there. I hope you share that story, Mulligan, because that's a really funny bit of like, when you're like your kid, some other kid pushes your kid.
I'm so incensed by what your kid did to my kid.
Mulligan, I'm going to wrap it up, and you may have roll the tape as your catchphrase.
Yeah.
And then by the end, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. My bad. My kid's a dick.
Might be. I should have known because she sent me the tape. Nobody's going to send me a tape of their kid wronging my kid.
Listen, it's not that like we go to the tape, but if you wanted to look at this, you might want to check this tape out.
It was a passive aggressive move on their part.
She was actually so chill about it. She's like, oh, I forgot, Simon.
Yeah, I know to your face she was chill.
Yeah, no, but she's also been like every single time I see her. Here's the problem. I'm no longer Irish Catholic, but boy, that guilt lives with you, man. Yeah. I every time I see her, like her son won't speak to me anymore because like I snitched. like he got in trouble because I snitched. And so he
you
literally
gotta owe him an apology.
I actually wrote him an apology, Jason. That's very funny you
Terrible.
said that. I wrote him an apology. I said, I'm so sorry about what James did. If we would have understood that he had pushed you first.
So you threw the kid under the bus. Fair.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Are you kidding me?
Well,
See, this case is why you don't get too close to your gardener.
he's got to
Yeah,
do.
he's got to do the time.
Here's what I don't understand. You finally got one kid to not talk to you, and then you were like, "Oh, I need to write an apology." I'm trying to get every.
She likes kids though, Kaylor. She likes
So
them.
funny. Dickie doesn't like any kids that are not ours. And I'm like,
Yeah, me
you
neither.
gotta pull it together on that. That's how my dad is. I think it might be a dad thing. Jason, do
Barely-
you like other people's kids? or
barely
no?
like my own kids.
Yeah.
I like fought to meet Kaylor's kids. He tried to keep them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I don't know. There's just some. I remember my dad being like, just like, even his own like nieces and nephews. Like my dad's just was always like,
I think
really
kids
tough on them.
are some of the purest humor though. I think they see really funny stuff. So I don't know. I like meeting kids.
Yeah. Joey Steelers. Okay.
says, my son the same on 3 weeks out of 15 days. The 3-year-old has gone 12, but has left early other 6 days.
Here's the thing. This is what I will say, Joey Steelers. I don't know how your kids, the 3-year-old. I was just talking to a friend about this today with boys. That's true. A beard is it a kid turn?
It's not working. For me.
I found that everybody has expectations for when your kid should be potty trained by and blah 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 blah. What I will tell you is that both boys of mine, I did not try to potty train. I tried to potty train Neil way too early. It completely backfired, and I was like, at this point, he's going to train himself. And I remember somebody saying to me, when he gets to school, it's all gonna come out in the wash, basically. Like he's gonna do it himself. Within a week of him going to preschool, he potty trained himself. James, pandemic kid, went to preschool at 3 and like a half. Okay. He gets there the same day he went to, and I had not even tried. They're like, wait, I'm sorry. Your kid still is in diapers. The school was like, we have to charge you a fee for that. He's not supposed to be in diapers still.
That's right. That is true. I forgot about that.
And I was like, okay, well, I will pay that fee because my son is not potty trained. And I paid that fee and I paid it for the month. And he was potty trained the second day. He came home because peer pressure. He was just like, yeah.
We're getting a lot of flack for it, but like, I don't know what to do with because I mean, our kids are special needs. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with that.
By the way, does our audience know that about your kids? You talk so negatively about them that I think it will be quite a surprise for the audience to find out.
Well, it's a new development.
Yeah.
So like you two know because we talk,
Well, you just dropped your kids are special needs, but I'm like, people might think you're being glib about them being insane, but you actually do have a diagnosis for your kids.
We do. There is stuff going on.
Yes. So there's nobody gets to tell us.
But it doesn't stop the evil. I mean, they're still evil.
Okay,
yeah. Listen, let me ask you. If you were the devil,
yes.
If you were, and you knew you had to come back as somebody that everybody would kind of trust and love and want to hug and be a part of,
would you come back as a kid?
Would you come back as a kid with some special needs?
I think it's possible you'd come back as Michael Jackson.
Well, that's a different spin.
Well, you said
that was a weird jump.
Was it weird though? Was it because you said
it was an absolutely.
He was very
weird.
trusted. He was very trusted, and he shouldn't have been.
Let me ask you this: if Satan came back and was somebody in this country now,
there's an example.
Who would Satan be? That everybody like Tom Hanks. Right?
Yeah. I see what
you know. Like it would be somebody like Chappelle. Although Chappelle's been who is the one The Rock?
Barack Obama. What are you talking about? Barack Obama.
I think Danny DeVito. I actually think Danny DeVito is possible.
Danny DeVito's a good.
He's universally beloved.
He was the Penguin. The Rock. Who is universally loved? Betty White.
Betty White. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Betty White. That's it.
If I was Satan, if you were Satan, who would you come back as?
Already gave you my answer. You guys didn't like it, but okay.
I didn't hear you.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. Yeah. If I was Satan, you want to talk about somebody that is loved. That's the spin, is what you're saying. It has to be somebody that can be trusted.
My gag is that it would be somebody, Bob.
Bob
my
Ross.
gosh, narcolepsy. Got it.
Really good.
Robin Williams would have worked too.
He had detractors. Bob Ross would be so funny if he was painting and he was like, and here's another flame, and here's a hoof, and here's a horn.
It's like Kermit the Frog.
It's a great question.
Can I tell you my Ed Asner story? Well, Bob Gerhardt says Ed Asner. By the way, he's dead too. I'm here in my house.
Bob Gerhardt or Ed Asner?
I was like, Bob Gerhardt's here.
We have a front door and we have a back door.
This is unheard of. This is unheard of.
No, I've heard this story and it's fantastic.
We're banging on my back door, and I'm like, it's by the garage, it's out in the back, and I'm like, what the fuck? And nobody's ever banged on the door before. I've lived here for years. And we open the door. Ed Asner standing with a bottle of like limoncello, like a crazy cordial with a cane. And there's like a young woman behind him who's obviously his assistant. And I'm like, and I go, Ed Asner. Like, I don't even go like, I'm not even like, hey, hi, can I help you? I go, hey, Ed Asner showed up at my door. What a day. Like, and he goes, I'm late. Is there the party? What's happening with the party? I go, Ed, I wasn't planning on throwing a party tonight.
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was riffing. I was in fine.
I thought this was like he's your new neighbor. Like,
now he was going to a party and he went to the wrong house and he knocked on my back door.
But also, did you become friends with the neighbors that are friends with him?
I don't know where they were.
Wait. So you didn't help him find where he was?
He talked to me for a while. His assistant.
But you're still in the house. And we're down.
There you go. Ed Asner starts he's knocking. And I come out. And I go, I'm a huge fan. I grew up on I'm that old. Mary Tyler Moore. Hello. I want to be Ted Knight one day. And Ed Asner's at my house. And I'm like, he goes, I'm here for a party. And I go, dude, it's just going to be you and I. But I'm telling you, we're going to have a hell of a He goes, he's not really following the improv.
Yeah.
He goes, no, I'm supposed to, he's like dead serious. I'm like, I'm supposed to be here for this party. I go, oh, I get it. And the party's going to happen, but it's just going to be us. I go, what do you like? You like Chinese? I'll call and order some food. Like totally riffing. And he's like, well, I thought he was going to go, Mary. I thought he was going to start screaming Mary or something. And then we talked for a while and he gave me the address and I said, oh, you're on the wrong street, or like 2 streets over or whatever. And he was like, whoa. He was kind of out of it. And the girl was like, I wanted to say Mr. Grant. It's not Mr. Grant. It's Mr. Asner. And it was a reverse up situation. Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, and I didn't take a picture. I was like, God. He left and I was like, God damn it. I should.
And this is before Ring.
Get him where he was supposed to be, right?
But the ring's on the front door. He was at the back door.
And
I kind of helped him out, and he was holding me a bottle, and I said, "Oh, thank you." So I went to take the bottle. He goes, "No, it's not for you." And I goes,
he was not having the jokes, huh?
He was not. Ed Asner was not improvising. He was not yes-anding me, and it was very frustrating.
In my old neighborhood, this is not as good as your story, but I was walking my very colicky baby. I was in the darkest days of my just became a mom. And I'm walking Neil, who's like colicky. And there's a man outside of an apartment building on a balcony. And he says, that is a beautiful baby. And I look up. I am, of course, because I'm a white female, the biggest fan of The Wire on the planet. Like, I'm obsessed with The Wire. And it's Avon effing Barksdale. It's Wood Harris. And I go, oh, thank you. You're Wood Harris. Like, I can't
believe you knew. I wouldn't have known his name. I would have known Stringer Bell is Idris Elba.
Oh my God. Listen, when you watch The Wire as many times as that, I was like, you're Wood Harris. And he's like, yeah. And then he like backed into his apartment.
One night I was at a bar in Hollywood and Bubbles.
Don't even. Bubs lives in Silver Lake. He always goes to that Silver Lake Trader Joe's.
Silver Lake, and I was on a crazy date with an actress that I won't say, but he was there, and we were hanging in some weird back room, and I mean, honestly, one of the most starstruck I've ever been because I was such a Wire fan. I was like, dude, what you're doing is it's so good. I can't. And then I would be like, I got to be cool. I'm going to be cool for a second. I would be cool. But then I was like, you fucking bubbles. I was like blown away. Yeah,
who from The Wire would you be the most starstruck to see?
I mean, at the time.
And why is it Nikki Sabaka?
I don't know. I liked, I mean, I love The Wire.
Oh, it was the best. I think.
Quick show breakdown, really quick. Has anyone watched American Gigolo?
No, not yet. Is it so good?
John Bernthal, the dude, is so good.
Yeah. He's so good in The Bear. He's in one scene of The Bear as the dead brother.
Recognizes Wood. Yes. Yeah. John Bernthal is in literally everything. He's in The Accountant. He stole
the scene he's in, which is a flashback in The Bear.
He's the brother.
If
anyone hasn't seen The Bear is fantastic.
If you haven't seen The Bear, you don't love Chicago.
And if you've ever worked in a restaurant, it'll be the greatest show you've ever seen. Yeah. The lead dude's fantastic. John Bernthal is so good in everything. And
he really is.
He plays Julian Kay. Do you know the movie at all with Richard Gere?
No.
You don't?
No.
It actually really holds up. Call me. You don't know this movie?
No.
You've never seen American Gigolo? It's dark. It's super dark.
Lauren
Hutton's the lead. He's a gigolo. He gets framed for murder.
Okay.
It's great.
Real, true story? True crime?
It's a Paul Schrader screenplay, and they made a miniseries out of it. And John Bernthal plays him. It's fantastic.
John Bernthal is our Richard Gere, I feel like.
John Bernthal.
That might be right.
He's really good. Have you been watching House of Dragons?
Yes. The best.
Me too. It's pretty good.
Dun, 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 dun. I mean, honestly, you're going to use the same music. You could put crap on the screen, and I'm going to be.
Although I will tell you, last week's episode was basically Red Shoe Diaries. It was a softcore porn.
Oh, I didn't. You know what? I'm not caught up. I'm like an episode behind. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Now I want to start watching.
If you want to get a little al dente, put on the latest episode of that.
I definitely don't.
Fair enough.
I don't want anyone around me to be al dente.
A little bit al dente.
Poor Dickie.
There's so much. It's very. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, that's right. It's Game of Thrones. Here we go.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah. Can I tell you how much I love that? Like the ad that they use for Kate's clip is the clip of her telling Dickie that he can't read a rheumitis.
Wait, the what?
The commercial they're doing for the show. The clip of you is the can't read a rheumitis. Yeah. It's my favorite.
He got diagnosed with a penis. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the clip they used.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good clip. I don't know if the one that we're using tracks as much because not a lot of people are on antidepressants apparently.
I love that Troy says, "Did you say Julian Kay?" Julian Kay, he plays a whole band. I can buy that.
Yes, he could. It's like Eddie Murphy in the
new one. They actually explore how he becomes a gigolo.
Oh, nice!
And it's, by the way, it's not a happy story.
Oh, huh? Interesting.
No, Southside on HBO. What is Southside? I haven't watched that.
We're talking Chicago.
Did you watch We Own the City?
No.
John Bernthal as a disgraced cop. He's a hardcore cop in Baltimore. He's in Baltimore, and it's a David Simon.
Oh, of course. I was going to say if it's a Baltimore cop story, it's
David Simon, John Bernthal, and I didn't even know it was a real
white guy's not getting roles anymore. John Bernthal seems to be doing okay.
Dude, I got news for you. I got a mad crush on John Bernthal.
Listen, you and me both.
He's pretty great.
Punisher.
I'll fight you for him.
Yeah. And Gretchen Mall's in it.
Where has she been? She's got the greatest tits on the planet.
Ever. And they don't seem to ever change.
They just stay right up there on her chin. They just stay right up where they were originally. I guess she didn't have 2 kids suck them dry for 2 years.
Maybe she had them fixed. I don't know. But if she did, it's
a good fixing.
You ever watch, by the way, Boardwalk Empires, one of the greatest shows of all time.
All time. And Michael Pitt.
That was my wife's. That was my wife's list. Was Michael Pitt. For some reason,
I had a friend that slept with him. It's a good situation, but he's a head case. It's a good sleep with
Wait,
situation.
is your friend my wife? Did my wife sleep with
My friend is definitely not your wife. No, it's not. It wasn't her. It wasn't her. I promise you, your wife definitely did not sleep with Michael Pitt.
She gets a pass with Michael Pitt, but the only reason they killed him off the show was because he was a total jerk on set.
That's the problem. He's a head case. He's not a good, How do you mess up being on Boardwalk Empire?
Did you ever watch Bully? His first big movie when he was a kid?
No. Why are you scamming on a child?
Go watch Bully by Larry Clark. It's
Okay.
so dark. It's about a bunch of kids. There's a murder in Florida, and it's a true story. And it's pretty. Michael Pitt's a kid in it, and it's a crazy, crazy ass story.
Oh,
it's really good movie, but it's so dark. We're like, yeah, he's a head case.
Yeah, it's head case.
Hey, listen, it's 8:40. Do you think?
You gotta go murder your kids.
Are they in bed or are they watching TV?
No, they're in bed.
I'm gonna go 1 and 1.
No, they're in bed. I think they're both in bed, and I think they're both exhausted because you had them in 42 activities today.
Oh, that's true.
They might even be asleep, Kaylor.
They might be. They might
be.
Listen, I mean, Dan's one of the nicest people we've ever had on the show.
Planet. What the heck?
Yeah.
And now
what
he's
a great guy.
Good. And he's such a hard worker, and his podcast is so good. It's so good.
It is really good.
I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. It's one of the few I'm like, oh, this is actually a really good podcast. He puts a lot of work into it, and it shows.
Listen,
which we don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, listen, if you can listen to one podcast, it should be the Parents Lounge. But if you could listen to 2 podcasts,
then
it should be the Parents Lounge and Brett and Kate's Playdate. If you could listen to 3 podcasts, I'm just kidding. He's amazing. He's amazing. This is the thing. People that work hard, it pays off.
Or sometimes doesn't.
I'll let you know.
I was gonna say, let's keep an eye on Jason. He's the only one working hard. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, that way. All right, listen, I got to roll. I love you both.
Happy birthday. We love you.
I'm around, so let's do lunch.
I would love to take you to lunch for your birthday. You tell me where. I'm gonna look up the great massage place in Burbank, and then we can hop over to.
And then just FaceTime me.
Yeah, we'll just FaceTime you.
I think I'm gonna do a massage. I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I know I'm gonna drop those kids off at school and then relax for a bit. We'll see what happens.
Just wave.
All right. Hey, listen, thank you to everybody for tuning in. If you are, and thanks for the people who share this show. I know some people share it to their
we love that.
Really thankful for. If you can, be sure to check out the podcast on Apple. Is it Apple? It's on iTunes.
Yep. It's on all the podcasts.
Honestly, toss it to me, Jason. I can tell if everybody where to find this.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Kate.
You can find us where podcasts are found.
Oh, that was really good.
Thank you.
Also, you can find us October 14th and 15th. Go to BradfordCountyMovies.com to get your tickets.
Subscribe, review, share. Thank you for being part of it. Because honestly, I mean, every week I want to put my fist through a wall, and then we kind of tell some stories about my kids, and I go, all right, you know what? I'm good for another week.
I'll keep them.
Yeah, for now. Love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week on the Parents Lounge.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.